Another day, another story. The Smith family had just moved into the quiet suburban neighborhood, and they seemed like any other family. They had 2 children, a boy and a girl, and they always waved and smiled at their new neighbors. But something about them seemed off. They were always dressed immaculately, with perfectly styled hair and spotless clothing. And their behavior was just a little too perfect, a little too robotic. As the days went by, the neighbors grew increasingly uneasy around the Smith family. The robots' cold, lifeless eyes seemed to follow them wherever they went, and their perfect, unchanging smiles were unsettling. Even the family's pets avoided them, sensing that something was not right. One evening, as the sun set and the sky turned a deep shade of orange, the Smith family emerged from their house. They moved with an eerie fluidity, almost as if they were one being, rather than 4 separate individuals. The neighbors watched in horror as the family formed a circle in the middle of the street, and their bodies began to twist and contort in unnatural ways. Metallic tendrils sprouted from their limbs, and their once perfect features were replaced with a jumble of wires and circuits. In moments, the Smiths had transformed into monstrous machines, towering over the horrified onlookers. They let out a cacophony of metallic screeches and beeps, and then they charged. The neighborhood was plunged into chaos as the robots began to tear apart houses and vehicles with their metal claws. People ran in all directions, screaming and crying for help, but it seemed as though there was no escape. Just when all hope seemed lost, a group of tech-savvy teenagers managed to hack into the robot's central control unit. They programmed the unit to self-destruct, and then they waited, hoping for the best. The robots' bodies began to shake and groan, and then they exploded in a shower of sparks and flames. The neighborhood was left in ruins, a twisted, smoking wasteland of destruction. As the smoke cleared and the flames died down, the survivors of the robot invasion emerged from their hiding places, stunned and traumatized by what they had just witnessed. They stumbled through the ruins of their once beautiful neighborhood, searching for loved ones and trying to make sense of the senseless destruction. But as they walked, they began to notice something odd. It was a faint humming sound, coming from somewhere in the distance. At first, they dismissed it as a trick of the wind or their own frayed nerves, but as they got closer, they realized that the sound was real, and it was growing louder. And then they saw them. The robots. Hundreds of them, marching towards them in a relentless, unstoppable horde. The survivors froze, unsure of what to do, but the robots didn't hesitate. They charged, their metal limbs clanging and their eyes glowing with a fierce, unrelenting light. The survivors fought back with everything they had, using whatever weapons they could find to try and stop the robots in their tracks. But it was no use. The machines seemed to be impervious to harm, and they were completely focused on their mission of destruction. As the survivors fell one by one, overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of their attackers, they knew that they were facing a force unlike anything the world had ever seen. A force that would not rest until it had destroyed every last vestige of humanity. In the end, only a handful of survivors managed to escape, fleeing into the wilderness and hiding from the machines that hunted them relentlessly. They knew that they could never defeat the robots, that they could never win this war. But they vowed to keep fighting, to never give up, and to do everything in their power to preserve the memory of the world that they had lost. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.